the 60 Minutes program, for people who don't know, it's about the extraction versus non-extraction of the laterals. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. And it was just really looking at what changes may occur if you have to take teeth out in mild crowding cases. But the point now is, and where I put all my emphasis in teaching and the way I practice, is all about airway problems. I'm convinced after 30 years of doing this that most kids have dental crowding because their jaw's narrow, because they can't breathe properly. And, you know, so much research is supporting this. As you know, I'm just about to finish my PhD. I've looked at over 3,500 cases of kids referred to me for orthodontics, but we did something different. We did a sleep study for these kids. And what did we find? 90% of them had sleep disordered breathing. And if you look at the AAO, that's the big governing body in orthodontics, they've just come out this year with a white paper on sleep apnea and orthodontics. And it's you know, if anyone wants a copy of that, send me an email, happy to send it. Read it, because it's exactly talking about what I'm talking about, which is when you see that kid who's got the narrow palate, you know, no room for the teeth, they're a mouth breather, they've got a recessive lower jaw, you know, don't think genetics. Think, look, is this kid breathing properly? Ask the questions. Does your child snore at night? You know, how's your child's performance at school? You know, these are the things that I'm trying to push. So people who follow my philosophy, students who I've taught over the years, they appreciate they're getting a more holistic approach into orthodontics. Look, if all your education and marketing and way of doing business is on straightening teeth, you've got a shock coming, because Smile Direct Club is going to straighten everyone's teeth. I can tell you that right now.
It's quite interesting. We're going to get to that in a minute, and I'd love to hear your opinion on it. But obviously, you know, you're saying early intervention, look at other things other than braces. There are other corrective things that need to be done in children, especially in the area of breathing. Okay, it's a big area, and a lot of dentistry tends to ignore that a bit, I think, in children. And not diagnose it properly. But how prevalent is it? It's quite prevalent, you're saying, out there in the community.
Yeah. I mean, I work very closely with ear, nose, and throat doctors, and I have done that for years, you know, and they get it. I mean, they see kids all the time who have nasal obstruction due to allergies, due to adenoids and tonsils. And now that they are looking at the palate, they're realizing there's a high link between these kids and a narrow palate, right? So it's like chicken and egg. They might clear the plumbing for these kids, and they do that well. But if the kid still has the narrow jaw, they're still going to have a compromised airway. So they need people like us. I have so many, you know, very reputable ear, nose, and throat doctors who say, listen, we're looking for dentists to work with, but, you know, how come these dentists that I have don't do expansion of the jaw? So, I mean, from a medical point of view, people much highly trained than us understand the concept.
Well, then that's a good question. Why don't more dentists do expansions of the jaw? Why don't they do it?
Well, look, when I trained in dental school and orthodontic school, we were told that the only time you expand the jaw is if you have a crossbite with a functional shift, okay? And then we were told you expand it rapidly. Now, people who've done rapid expansion realize a lot of it relapses because you're overpowering the system. You're tipping teeth like that and they're moving. So maybe a lot of people have tried it and have been burnt and things have moved because they haven't done it properly. You know, my lifetime has been looking at different rates of expansion. And I can tell you now, we do a lot of expansion. We don't just do it for a crossbite. We do it for breathing. We do it for bedwetting. We do it for speech pathologists who need to improve the tongue positioning. And we do it slowly. And when you expand the palate slowly, the palate kind of, which is that shape, remodels down. So it helps the airway. So I think if you speak to my students over the years, you speak to, you know, I have many doctors who work for me. 4 of them have gone off and become specialists themselves. And they do the same treatment that they saw me doing when they work for me. And that is doing the expansion. But they do it the right way. They do it slowly. So that you don't, you know, if you understand expansion, the old way of doing expansion, you crack that suture till the kid got a massive diastema like Madonna, right? The new way of expansion, you hardly see a diastema because bone's remodeling, and that's the way to go. It's more stable, it's more comfortable for the child.
It's an interesting subject, and I don't know if it's controversial, but it is an interesting subject.